September 2020's free PlayStation Plus games are Street Fighter V and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, also known as PUBG. I'll spoil this video ahead of time and say that one of these games may very well be worth your time, but the other is almost definitely not. What are these games like? Are either of them right for you? And which ones, if either, should you download? Let's find out today on PLUSone, but first, I've got to do something for the very first time here on the Golden Bolt, and that's talk about our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. In a world where most of us find ourselves spending over 6 hours a day online, it's important to know that we're protected whether we're at home, out in public, or traveling abroad, and Surfshark sets out to do just that. By using a VPN, you can help ensure that your sensitive data, such as your passwords and logins, are kept safe while on public Wi-Fi, mobile data, or even just at home. And Surfshark's VPN can even help you speed up web pages and save on some data to keep you under your data cap by blocking both targeted and non-targeted ads. It can't block this one though. They want this one. Surfshark can allow you to access country-specific pages and content even if you're just sitting on the couch. For example, if you want to see the elusive Canadian version of The Office. You won't find that on American Netflix. And thanks to its smart DNS feature, Surfshark can even run on your PS4 to protect you from salty players on Street Fighter or the thousands of people that hack PUBG for some reason. If you click the link in the description and enter the code GOLDENBOLT at checkout, you'll get a whopping 85% off your 2-year subscription. That's less than $2 a month, and you'll get an extra 3 months thrown in for free for good measure. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. This was actually more fun than playing PUBG, but now I have to go talk about playing PUBG, so let's get to the review. PUBG sucks. That's it. That's the whole review. In case you're unfamiliar, this was the big 2017 Battle Royale game that went to war and lost to Fortnite at the real explosion of that genre. But the word lose betrays the fact that it actually kept things incredibly competitive, selling over 70 million copies despite being a $30 game fighting against a free one, and its smartphone port has been downloaded hundreds of millions of times. But talking about its incredible sales performance also betrays the fact that this game sucks, at least on console it does. PUBG has never quite been an incredibly well-optimized game, to the point that a few years back I recall my buddies playing on low PC settings because it removed the grass and allowed you to see people hiding in that grass. I can't speak to how it runs in 2020 on PC because I don't care to play the game, but on console, even years after it first hit both PS4 and Xbox One, even if you play on a Pro or a One X, it looks and runs like actual garbage. Now, full disclosure, I actually recorded this footage on my Xbox One copy over the weekend, but I verified that the console versions look essentially identical. I'm never one to care too much about the visuals. I'll happily deal with an uglier game so long as it's not actively assaulting me, but PUBG on console still, even at max settings, looks like it's running on the Wii, with muddy textures and awful depth of field that can be highlighted even more when you use a scope and see a higher fidelity, brighter game through your scope, and then outside of it see how ugly the game normally looks. Just about no audio whatsoever. It's actually laughably bad. And yes, I did say that even the game's audio is horrendous. Outside of the menu music, once you're out of the choppy plane and onto the low-res map, you won't be able to hear just about anything besides gunshots and the blaring sound of car engines. I had every possible audio slider at max with my headphones on, and the game is so eerily quiet that you would think it's either still an early access game or that it's the setup for some creepypasta horror game. This is a PC game that can barely run on console. It struggles to hit 30 frames per second here, although on PS4 Pro it can try to get up to 60, but it's still gonna look really ugly. And this game is over 30 gigs in size. It's amazing. And the gameplay sucks too, or rather, at least the controls do. Again, it's a PC-focused game dumped onto console, first for that Xbox exclusive money, and later for that PS4 having an actual audience money. None of the 3 control presets are all that satisfying, because PUBG has a lot of really cool mechanics that require more dedicated buttons than the PS4 controller has. Some inputs require a double tap, others require a hold press, and if you don't like where the crouch button is, you have to change your PS4 accessibility settings to get the controls that you want, because PUBG doesn't have custom controller presets for no discernible reason. The gameplay itself is fine if you can look past every single problem I've mentioned. Shooting feels pretty satisfying whenever you can actually see your enemy. Working with your team is fun when you're not all laughing at how awful the game looks. It's all functional, but maybe not exactly fun. If you've never played a Battle Royale game before, PUBG sure is one. You drop on an island with nothing and try to find weapons and armor, all while a ring slowly closes in to narrow the battlefield and force players into more and more encounters. If you get shot enough, you'll get downed, and if you don't get revived by your teammates in time, you're dead and your game is over. Last team standing wins. But PUBG's pace per game, like its frame rate, tends to feel sluggish, matches usually taking upwards of 20 minutes, and most of that 20 minutes for most players isn't gonna be all that fun. You're just gonna be hiding out, trying to find any decent weapons and armor, and if you're new, slowly learning the game and hopefully winning 1 or 2 fights before getting killed. But unless you're an experienced Battle Royale player, you're probably gonna get killed before you even see the enemy here. Compared to last month's offering of Fall Guys, this Battle Royale just isn't the right game for too many people anymore. It's no longer 2017. Better Battle Royales have come out since and actually pushed the genre forward rather than getting comfortable or, dare I say, cashing in on console and leaving the suckers that bought in to deal with a game that's poor enough on almost every level that I frankly don't think it would have passed quality requirements if not for its popularity. If you want to play a fun Battle Royale game, PUBG almost certainly isn't for you. If you want a better recommendation, for my money, give Apex Legends a shot. It's set in the Titanfall universe made by many of the same team members that brought us Call of Duty Modern Warfare's 1 and 2, you know, the games that changed the first-person shooter genre forever, and it's a game that's absolutely made with love, even if it's published by EA. Unlike PUBG, it's quick and easy to pick up the game and really learn it, and also quick and easy to pick items up because PUBG's item management is just horrendous. In Apex, I don't have to flip through several clunky menus with L1 and R1 and hope I grab the right stuff because Apex is optimized equally for console and PC independently of one another. It runs at 60 frames per second and looks miles ahead of PUBG even though it certainly does have examples of some hilariously muddy textures. The game encourages actual team play via the contextual ping system that's since been implemented into so many other shooters, including PUBG. Teammates can revive their dead allies to keep people invested for more than just until the moment they're taken out. The pace is so much faster, with matches rarely lasting more than 15 minutes. The developers may take their time updating things, but they're constantly looking for ways to improve the game, and it's just a fun game. My buddies and I downloaded Apex on a whim back when it came out in February 2019 just because we thought it'd be a fun couple hours, and since then we've probably put 1,000 hours into it each. It's just become the game that's stuck with us. And unlike PUBG, it's free all the time, not just this month, meaning that if you don't have PS Plus, you can still play it. It still is a money-grubbing EA game, of course. These battle royales are always going to have some form of monetization that I'm not exactly fond of, such as hundreds of skins earnable through real money or through in-game play, and of course a battle pass. But with that said, I've spent no more than $20 on this game throughout its entire 18-month life. Anyway, I digress. The point is, PUBG bad, or rather PUBG console ports bad. I can't recommend it in good conscience because it's just not satisfying enough of a game to play on console. You're better off trying a game that at least respects its player base a little bit, which surprisingly brings us to Street Fighter V. Released in 2016 and continually updated since then, Street Fighter V has had a very odd lifespan, even for a fighting game. When it first released, it was absolutely bare bones with its content, which led to several free updates culminating with the arcade edition of the game adding things like, well, an arcade mode. Since then, we've also most recently gotten a Champion Edition and a surprise 5th season of content to hold over until Street Fighter VI eventually releases. The first thing you'll end up noticing if you download the game is that you'll be downloading everything, even that Champion Edition content, even though we're getting just the vanilla version with PS Plus. That's because one of the neatest things about Street Fighter V, at least on paper, is that if you enjoy this game enough, none of the DLC characters or any real content is locked behind a paywall. Instead, you can spend in-game credits called fight money to earn everything. Now, to be fair, thanks to updates balancing how quickly you can earn these credits, it may as well be impossible to get all of Street Fighter V for free now with just what we're getting on PS Plus, but this vanilla version gives us more than enough to go off of and decide if we want to invest in the full game afterwards. With this free download, you'll unlock the base handful of characters, a series of arcade modes based on the previous Street Fighter games, a very short story mode for each character, like not even 5 minutes long short, and once you download the free story mode DLC, a longer general story mode. Playing on any of these, playing online, playing versus mode, playing just about anything in this game will earn you those credits that you can spend in the in-game store on skins, characters, stages, and more. Well, actually, it looks like beating the general story mode no longer gives you any reward, but before this, you'd essentially unlock a whole character for free just by playing that. But either way, once you've earned 100,000 fight money, you can unlock any character without spending a dime. You'll know well before you get this many credits if you're going to want to keep playing the game, because Street Fighter V as a game is not gonna be for everybody. After all, it's a 1v1 fighting game. Some players love learning each character, finding strong matchups, training, and testing themselves against players from around the world. Others will get lost before they can even get to their first quarter circle input, and the thing is, that's fine. I appreciate that this version is being given to us, because at this point, Capcom would be best off making the base version of Street Fighter V free anyway to inject some more life into the game. Everything in this game is obviously responsive, the attacks are satisfying and hard-hitting and have a good crunch to them, and if you've got some friends to play with that are at a similar skill level to your own, in my case that's not good, the matches will be a lot of fun. Fair warning if you're playing against strangers online though, the game's netcode isn't all that great, so if you're playing against anybody on Wi-Fi, or most likely against most players in general, you may well have a laggy mess of a time. Speaking personally here, Street Fighter isn't super for me, even if I do enjoy it when I play it, but I think that you should give it a download to find out firsthand if it's for you. If you enjoy it a little bit, you should be able to unlock a character or two for free at least, and if you really enjoy it, I would recommend buying the $25 Champion Edition upgrade to unlock essentially everything the game has to offer up through Season 4. With that Champion Edition upgrade, you won't have access to that last season of characters right away, but you will have another couple dozen characters to play as and level up, making it a lot easier to earn more of those credits to buy that last wave. So September's lineup certainly isn't gonna hold strong to what last month had for us, but I know that most of us kind of expected that from the get-go. For many of you, there's a good chance that neither of these games will be quite up your alley, which means you'll be right back to Fall Guys or whatever your comfort game currently is. In my case, again, that's Apex. Even if you're not a huge shooter fan, I think this game's got a good bit of something for everybody to enjoy, but I'll stop trying to convince you. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and if you're new here, you know the drill, subscribe so that I can eat. I mean, I'm gonna eat anyway, but I'll feel better if you subscribe before I eat. If you want to watch a video about other comfort games that I tend to enjoy playing on a rainy day, I've got a video for that right here. As always, I'll see you folks next week for another video, and until then, stay golden.